what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, the latest physique update from Samson Dauda. At 11 days out from the 2024 Arnold Classic in Ohio. Now, this update, like many of Samson's updates, have a lot of people talking about the possibility of Samson winning the Arnold Classic. Obviously, with Hadi in this lineup, Hadi being the only former Mr. Olympia winner in this lineup, Hadi is the on-paper favorite to win this show. But more and more convincingly, as Samson posts more updates, I think he's making a very strong case for himself to not just be competing for second place here. Now, at this past year's Olympia, that was the closest that Samson has ever been to Hadi. Second place to Hadi, third place to Samson at the 2023 Olympia. But I think the point here is that Samson looks a lot better and significantly improved this time around for the rematch with Hadi. And as fast as we know that Samson is able to make these improvements and how significant they are, and they do translate on stage, I think the case has been made that this rematch could go either way. I think of his entire prep, this is the most impressive update that Samson has posted so far. And even though, it's just a very quick, very brief, most muscular, essentially, you can really see the conditioning shining through on Samson's physique. He's just this massive guy, a ton of muscle, and you can see just deep striations, deep cuts, vascularity. He looks dry, he looks grainy, but still looks really big and really full. This to me might be the best conditioning we've ever seen from Samson when he steps on stage at this Arnold. He looks just undeniably impressive. I mean, all the updates leading up until this point also looked impressive, and we're getting, a little bit fewer and fewer and a little bit less and less as we get closer to the show. The videos are shorter. It's just pictures here and there. But all the updates leading up to this one have been some of his most impressive updates. But this one, I think, really shows off how good Samson really looks. I mean, size-wise, fullness, conditioning, he's really going to bring it. And I feel like this is going to be a lot closer of a battle between him and Hadi than it might seem like on paper. And I'll be honest, I've definitely been leaning towards Hadi winning this show myself. I mean, you look at the fact that he lost the Olympia title, how angry and upset he seemed to be. He's really got a chip on his shoulder coming into this show. He's never done the Arnold Classic before, and he's doing two back-to-back, Ohio and UK. I think he's trying to come back with a vengeance. He's trying to make a point. He's not just doing these shows for fun. He's not just doing these shows for the prize money. He's not just doing these shows to compete for the sake of competing. I think he really wants to prove a point here. So I think not only is Hadi the on-paper favorite, but I think Hadi is really coming here to prove something. He's not coming here, to mess around. Not that anybody is, but I think this is a very, very important show for Hadi, and we know how consistent Hadi is. I expect we're going to see the best from Hadi as well, and I think this is going to be an insane battle between the two of them, and maybe we see both of them here at their all-time best. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you have Hadi or Samson picking up the win at the Arnold Classic in your predictions, and why or why not? So next up in the news, we've got some more bodybuilding prize money news. So last week, we talked about Tyler Mannion's announcement that all the prize money across the board would be increased for men's open bodybuilding. So that was a major announcement because of new sponsorships. They were able to offer a new baseline first place and second place prize money, which was huge. And now we got the announcement today that at Fouad Abiad's competition, the new Detroit Pro, which is going to be April 14th, so just a month after the Arnold UK, is going to be offering $25,000 for first place, really setting itself up as one of the biggest pro shows right off the bat in terms of prize money. Most pro shows tend to pay the minimum for first place. So it seems to me like 2024 is setting up to be quite the bodybuilding season. I think we're going to have some really interesting shows. I know that for the Detroit Pro, you've got John De La Rosa, you've got Justin Rodriguez, you've got William Martins. I believe that Moshe Ban is also doing it, and Martin Fitzwater, who was the first to announce. Ron Gordon is also doing it. So the lineup is starting to take shape, and I expect to see probably, a lot of these guys that are doing the Arnold are going to jump in this show for, this kind of prize money. $25,000 is pretty significant. And not only did the Detroit Pro announce this, But the Dubai Pro as well made a pretty big announcement this week, and the Dubai Pro has already been one of the higher paying classic physique competitions, but they're adding men's open bodybuilding. So for the 2024 Dubai Pro, men's physique first place is 25 grand, classic physique first place is 30 grand. They're doing 212 with first place for 15,000, and now with the addition of men's open, $40,000 for first, 15 for second, 8,000 for third, 3,000 for fourth, and 2,000 for fifth. So a pretty high-paying show. And this is something we've been talking about for the last few years now. Is, you know, some of these lineups at some of these shows in the past couple of years have been kind of sparse, and I think it was mostly the shows that were paying the $10,000 for first. But I think you're going to see more of these pro shows follow suit and bump up the prize money to attract a more competitive and more interesting lineup. I have a feeling this is going to be a good year for bodybuilding, like I said. And it's good to see, you know, you've got the Arnold to start the year with $300,000 for first. 2 weeks later, the Arnold UK with over 100 grand for first. Then you've got this Detroit show, the Arnold Brazil, both in April, and then in May you've got the New York Pro. A lot of money to be made if you're a pro bodybuilder in the next couple of months. I mean, I think this is a pretty clear sign that a lot of these promoters are starting to realize there's value in having these higher caliber bodybuilders, these bigger name guys, compete at your show. And they're starting to realize it's about the prize money. They need to up the prize money because 10 grand, a lot of pros have even said 10 grand doesn't even cover the cost of a prep if they win the show. Between all the food, the gear, the coaching, whatever, a lot of the bigger name guys especially are probably spending more than that on just the prep alone. So this is very refreshing to see. Now, next up in the news, we got a recent physique update from Justin Rodriguez. And honestly, this is probably the most impressive update to me of all the updates that we've seen Justin post. I really thought he looked really good in this update. He looks really lean, really conditioned, really sharp here. And the main thing is, I think at some shows Justin struggles with his midsection a little bit. And his midsection looks really good here. And that front double bicep shot that you're looking at, really deep, separated abs. He's got his waist really controlled here. And granted, this is just a static pose. It's not a video. But you can see how sharp and defined he is. I would say more so his upper body, because really, honestly, when you look at his legs, you don't see like these crazy deep hamstring striations. You don't really see striations in his glutes. And even in the quads, the separation doesn't look that deep and crispy. But his upper body here, to me, this is one of his more impressive upper body updates as far as just overall sharpness. And I think he still needs to be considered as a possible factor here for, you know, maybe a top 6 comparison, a first call out. And I think he's looking pretty damn good as we approach the 1 week out mark for a lot of these physique updates. We're about a week and a half now. But in just a few days, it's going to be 1 week. And then before we know it, we're going to be in Columbus. Now, another guy I wanted to talk about here, Horse MD. We got another update from him. This is a video of him. He's in Columbus now, by the way. And again, it's just a video of him doing curls, so it's not an actual physique update. But he is one of the guys that I think is really going to do well here. And just even in this video, even in a stringer just doing curls, you can see he's on point. He's obviously in very good condition, but he's still round, still full, still looks big. I believe the last update he gave of his weight was about 273 pounds, and I think that might have been 2 or 3 weeks out. So he's a pretty big dude. And I'm really thinking that Horse at this point is going to be in that top 4. I'm thinking it's going to be, and again, not in any particular order, but I think it's going to be Hadi Samson, Raphael, and either Horse or James Hollingshead is going to be the top 4. All those guys are looking phenomenal, and I really think that they are kind of leading the pack right now in terms of physique updates and how impressive they look. I really think that's going to be your top 4 or so. Now, next up in the news, we got to talk about the latest physique update from Breon Ainsley, who's going to be competing in Classic Physique at the Arnold Classic, where he's going to have to face Ramon Dino and Urs Kalsinski again. But honestly, I really do think that this weight change, the increase in weight for the Classic Physique guys by height, has really benefited Breon. I think Breon looks as good as he's ever looked, even though he's by far the oldest guy in this lineup. He's been around the longest, and he's the oldest, and he almost looks just as good as he did the first year that he won the Olympia. And Breon has said throughout his career that the weight limit in Classic Physique was something that had really held him back and something that he was really struggling with. And I think that's been proven to be true here. I mean, he's still in the game, and I think the fact that he stayed in Classic and didn't switch to 212 really benefited him. He's still really right in the mix, And I think that he's going to be right up there. He's going to be in the top 3, battling it out with Urs and Ramon again. And I know that most of the conversation has been about Urs and Ramon because those two have had kind of this back and forth for so long. But maybe there could be an upset here. Maybe Breon could upset one of those two guys. I mean, he really does look that good. Now, the final story that I've got for you guys today, I wanted to touch a little bit on Antoine Vaillant here because, admittedly, we haven't really talked about him much since the lineup was announced. Was probably the last time we talked about him. But I've got to admit, the last update that he posted was really impressive. I think he looked really good in that update, and maybe he could be in a top call out here. He could be, towards the top 6. I really don't know. I think on paper, we got to go with a lot of this to be on paper with, these guys' recent placings and their contest history. And with Antoine, he's took a bit of a hiatus. He's only won 1 pro show, the Cali Pro, and his last Olympia placing was 14th place. So on paper, it's hard to think of Antoine as being one of the guys that's going to break into the top 3 or top 6 here. But he does look really good in this update. He looks big. Conditioning looks good. He looks on point. And even though he's taken kind of this hiatus, and this is kind of one of his return shows, maybe he does end up being a little bit more of a factor here than I originally anticipated. I think this is a really dynamic, interesting lineup. A lot of these guys we haven't ever seen compete against each other, and a lot of these guys I think really could fall anywhere in this lineup. And especially some of the bigger name guys, like even Hadi, but Horse and Rafael from Brazil and James from the UK, typically when they would compete, and again, Horse is very new, so this is a different story, but, a lot of these international guys have never done an Arnold Classic in Ohio, I should say, and have never competed in some of these U.S. shows. They compete in the international shows to qualify for the Olympia, like the Romania, or that show in Italy, or a show in Brazil. So a lot of these guys we've never seen compete against each other, and we've never seen against a guy like Antoine or a guy like Akeem or even John De La Rosa. So I think there could be some interesting matchups here that go either way, and if Antoine is in really good shape, maybe he could win some of those matchups. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NickStrengthPower, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.